other things, but this group of players has been outstanding.
So after that punch in the guts at the start, how did you then assert yourselves and start playing your football?
Yeah, look, even before that, I know
What your players have given you?
I'm delighted, mate. Irrespective of what you just said, I just thought we played really well. Obviously not the greatest of starts, and being a goal down, particularly here, and knowing the situation that Manchester United were in terms of needing a result. I thought our response was outstanding. Our football after that was really good. Even before that, we were sort of, creating some good opportunities. Obviously, we got then hit on another transition, but I thought second half we really controlled the game, and I couldn't be happy. We've had a really rough week off the field with quite a bit of illness and other things, but this group of players has been outstanding.
So after that punch in the guts at the start, how did you then assert yourselves and start playing your football?
Manchester United in transition are still a very good team. They've got players like Rashford and Holland and Garnacho and Bruno. He can unlock any defence. So we always knew that was always going to be a threat. But it didn't faze the boys, to be fair, all year. They've been really good at dealing with adversity and not letting it affect our football. And they did that again today.
So was it the type of game you expected today, i.e. you looking to dominate, assert yourselves, and then being a huge threat on the counter?
Well, you don't know. I mean, I think that's where their strengths lie, absolutely, and that's where our strengths lie. We want to try and dominate the game and sort of play the game in their half, but also knowing that when you do that, if you make a mistake, give the ball away, there's always that threat. But again, Romero, Van de Ven haven't played for ages, and I thought both fullbacks who had tough jobs did a really good job.
So, when you're looking to dominate and play your football, how do you need to control their counter-attack? I mean, we all know you were never going to come here and park the bus and sit on the edge of the box and counter-attack. So, how then do you deal with their threat?
Well, you're aware of it, but you're never going to totally deal with it. This foolproof system that everyone is seeking does not exist. Everyone knows that you go into a game of football, there's going to be opportunities for the opposition, irrespective of who you're playing. And like I said, I thought for the most part we dealt with it really well. I can't really remember Vic making too many saves. And the flip side of that, I just thought some of our football was outstanding today.
Yeah, and on top of that football, the threat from set pieces today was huge. I might be reading too much into it, but did you turn to someone on the bench when you got your first equaliser? Is there someone in your coaching team who deserves a pat on the back? You got your first equaliser? Is there someone in your coaching team who deserves a pat on the back for that?
Yeah, there's no mysteries, mate. You can ask the question. Ryan Mason is in charge of attacking set pieces. He's done an outstanding job all year. And Millet, I thought even defensive set pieces, we were brilliant because, again, they got a threat there. We've been really good in that space all year, and it's a credit to both those coaches. All the coaches today, all of them had to put a really big shift in this week. We knew we were going to be undermanned. We knew we were going to have players in there playing their first game for a while or for the first time ever. And all of them, to a man, did an outstanding job to prepare this team.
Could I ask you a bit more about, you said in your first answer about the adversity, illness in the camp, on top of the hordes of players you missed anyway. Can you tell us a bit more about that? Obviously, you lost Kulusevski not too long before kickoff.
Well, yeah, he hadn't trained all week. Skippy was under the weather all week. Destiny was under the weather all week. A couple of other guys, and to their credit though, they probably embarrassed me talking about it because it was a big game for Manchester, particularly here at home, and a win for them today would have sort of given them some impetus. And the way we dealt with that as a group, Romero outstanding as a skipper, was excellent.
Does it feel like a key period for you? You come here today with a lot of players out, but none of them too far away. If you can just come through this, you set yourselves up for hopefully a big finish.
I hope so, mate. I hope so. This tunnel has been pretty long, and I keep looking for that ray of light. We might just be in a tunnel all year, and we've done all right in them.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, mate.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
What did you make of it?
I think it was a very intense game. It was a very good game, I think, for the audience. And when you analyze the game, look back, of course we are slightly disappointed because when you go twice up and you concede some soft goals like we did, then you are a little bit disappointed, but okay.
Goals have been a problem this season, particularly first half goals. So how pleased were you with the way you started the game, and actually probably that whole first 45 minutes?
Yeah, I think it was very good, and we scored 2 great goals in the first half, and that was a good thing to see how we break the lines, and how we were direct and good finishes as well. So that's why I'm a little bit disappointed when you have such a performance that you don't win, because. But I know we play against a good side, and they were particularly very dangerous on set plays.
What was the key to breaking the lines as you did?
They first of all to defend as a team, be compact, and then attack their fullbacks, and switch of play in general in possession, because that will break their lines, and from there on you create the chances.
And in Rasmus Højlund and Marcus Rashford, have you got 2 players now who are starting to look much more confident and are working well as a partnership?
Yeah, I think you see it's growing, and then add that with the game of Alejandro Garnacho, I think then we have a front three what's a threat for every opponent.
You mentioned soft goals conceded. What particularly disappointed you about the goals that Tottenham scored?
Now, the first is the corner, and we get 2 warnings, I think. And the second was already, the ball on the crossbar was already after 1-1. But there was already a ball on the byline, saved by Yogo. But we have to be more man in such situations. You have to go up, more physical, head the ball away. That shouldn't happen. And the second, there was a typical one. We know the quick releases, and then we allow them a diagonal pass, and then with one diagonal pass they break our whole team, and that can't happen.
And is it fair to say the second half performance wasn't as good, didn't match what you did in the first half?
Definitely, but I think the game was that intense, and it drops all over in level. And with that, I think that is our objective, to play 2 such halves.
And in terms of the match stats, like key stats, Tottenham had more possession, more shots. Maybe longer term, would you like that to change? When big teams come here, that you're not maybe living on counter-attack so much, that you're dominating and controlling these games. Is that the target?
I think definitely in possession we can bring more calmness and composure on the ball. Already in the first half, we had 1, 2, 3 players in the midfield department, and we didn't always make the right decisions. But they give so much space away. It's also very challenging to them pass the ball in the midfield if the ball is in the back of the defending line, when there's so much space, and we have so much speed and directness up front there.
So is it not so much them controlling the game, like you, the counter-attack is a big part of what you do. You want to be playing on transitions, you want them to have it and win it and attack.
We can play like this. With this group of players, definitely. We have passing players like Eriksen and Bruno and Kobe Mainoo in the midfield, and then in front we have so much space with Garnacho, Højlund and Rashford.
And lastly, Sir Jim Ratcliffe was here for the first time as the man in charge today. What do you hope he made of it?
We have seen a team fighting for each other. We have seen a team convinced to get a win, and we have seen 2 great goals, our sides, and also what you should have noticed, we should be more men when we have to defend corners.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All the best at it. Thank you. And on top of that, football, the threat from set pieces today was huge. I might be reading too much into it, but did you turn to someone on the bench when you got your first equaliser? Is there someone in your coaching team who deserves a pat on the back for that?
Yeah, there's no mysteries, mate. You can ask the question. Ryan Mason is in charge of attacking set pieces. He's done an outstanding job all year. And Millet, I thought even defensive set pieces, we were brilliant because, again, they got a threat there. We've been really good in that space all year, and it's a credit to both those coaches. All the coaches today, all of them had to put a really big shift in this week. We knew we were going to be undermanned. We knew we were going to have players in there playing their first game for a while or for the first time ever. And all of them, to a man, did an outstanding job to prepare this team.
Could I ask you a bit more about, you said in your first answer about the adversity, illness in the camp, on top of, you know, the hordes of players you missed anyway. Can you tell us a bit more about that? Obviously, you lost Kulusevski not too long before kickoff.
Well, yeah, he hadn't trained all week. Skippy was under the weather all week. Destiny was under the weather all week. A couple of other guys, and you know, to their credit though, they'd probably embarrass me talking about it, because we've just all year we've just got on with it, and I thought it was a real good, again, another challenge for growth for us today, because I just know that, you know, it was a big game for Manchester, particularly here at home, and a win for them today would have, you know, sort of given them some impetus. And the way we dealt with that as a group, Romero outstanding as a skipper, was excellent.
Does it feel like a key period for you? You come here today with a lot of players out, but none of them too far away. If you can just come through this, you set yourselves up for a hopefully big finish.
I hope so, mate. I hope so. This tunnel has been pretty long, and I keep looking for that ray of light. We might just be in a tunnel all year, and we've done all right in them.
You have. Thank you.
Thanks, mate.
Thank you, man. Safe journey back.
Gary Neville has joined us to reflect on that and much more before we leave you tonight on Super Sunday. A lot of teams, a few weeks, months it seems in some cases, but how well do you think Tottenham coped with that today?
I thought they were very good. The five probably best players, or five of the best players missing. I think if they've had them in the team, I think they won the game. And the style of play still comes through when they've got players missing. They were the better team. They dominated the whole of the second half. I think they had difficult moments, obviously, against Rashford and Højlund, and on the counter-attack at times, which most teams do against United. But in terms of being superior, they were far superior in the game.
Does that matter? We've talked about this before here, particularly. Moments versus style of play.
I think in the bigger picture, yeah, but I think where this team is at the moment for United, it's just about trying to get a couple of results together, get some momentum back into the season. So I wouldn't be sitting here overly critical even of United today. I didn't expect them to control the game. I thought Spurs would come and have a go. Spurs are in a good place. So for me at the moment, United seem like it's just about survival. Listen, they've lost already 9 league games. They're not scoring many goals. So today, what you saw from United, they managed to score 2 goals. They're attacking players. They could have won it at the end. Short term, that will do me. Yeah, in the bigger picture, you want your first team to have a style of play, obviously, and we hear patterns of play and all this type of thing. But for this group of players at this moment in time, it's just about hanging in there and survival and trying to get a couple of wins under the belt just to get a bit of belief and some momentum into the season. They've not managed to do that all season.
I was surprised to see Skip, Højbjerg and Bentancur dominating the midfield, though, when you think the players that are out in that area, you know, not used to playing with each other. The only one I would say probably going forward that you'd have wanted a little bit more was Brennan Johnson, considering he was one that's normally been playing. Maybe the fact that Wan-Bissaka went out and played against him, little tactical tweak by Ten Hag. We thought he might end up playing right back because he realised because of his pace he could go man for man on him. But he was the only one I wanted just a bit more from. Werner did OK, and you know that's what you're going to get from Werner. You're going to get flashes of brilliance, and then you're also going to get a bit of disappointment. But from Spurs' point of view, I thought they were.
But you got to be careful.
Listen,
we're giving Spurs loads of credit. Spurs are having a very good season. A lot of injury problems. Spurs with this, Spurs with that. They drew the game. They didn't come and win at Old Trafford. It was a draw.
A lot of players out there, Roy, aren't they?
Man United missing some. It's amazing when we do a TV game. We end up speaking for about an hour about players who aren't here. It's about the players who are out there. That's if you want to be a big club, you have to deal with setbacks.
But were not Spurs the better team today?
They were the better team, yeah. But we can't sit here and then go overboard on Spurs and say Spurs are outstanding. We heard from the manager. He's obviously going to praise his players. The staff got praised. The coaching, the bus driver got praised. Everyone's getting praised. Listen, it was against a poor Man United team on a difficult place. And it was 2-2. Everyone relax.
What's your take on that?
I am a little bit worried about the lack of combination and patterns of play at United and lack of sort of consistency in performance, because I think that when you're in difficult moments in games, you have to rely upon something to get you through it, and that's usually the work you've done on the training pitch during the week. And it isn't an excuse to say that players have missed, because that pattern of play and style of play goes into the squad. You can see that with other teams that have had players missing. So for me, I just worry that what we see is almost like a pass gets played to one player and then they work out what the next pass is. Whereas when you watch teams that are, you know, all the way through this league, they know what the next pass is, the players are in the right positions. You never see the players in the same positions, you know, whether it's Bruno Fernandes, Kobbie Mainoo, that actually, even out of possession, they're chasing around people, sort of man-to-man marking. So they're never really in shape from an attacking perspective when they're out of possession. So it's not easy for them to get.
But they've been like that all. They've been like that all season.
Yeah,
so we're coming here today. What were we expecting today? I was hoping to see United.
But Roy, when's it
score a
change?
few goals.
When is that going to change? Because
my question is more: is our Tottenham what Man United
can I just say something?
Can get to?
Can I just make a point? Because what he's done in 6 months or less, and given Spurs a style, a direction of play, and completely changed from being a really negative team so quickly. So he's shown how quickly it can be done. So I look at Man United and think, well, what are they? He's had enough time now to really figure out how he's going to play. United had a few players out. Martinez will make a bit of a difference defensively. But what he's done, Ange, has almost made it difficult for other managers because everyone's looking at it.
But obviously the problems are deeper at United, Jamie. The problems must be deeper at United.
They can't be much worse than what Spurs were the last couple of years. They've never won anything.
I'm scratching my head a little bit because this is a guy who's coached with Pep Guardiola at Bayern Munich, who's done the job that he did at Ajax with patterns of play and combinations and really fluid football. But then said in an interview, I think, before Christmas or a month or so before Christmas, he couldn't deliver the Ajax football at Manchester United. And that, I get that, because Ajax is such a sort of embedded way of playing, the style of play. But when Louis van Gaal came here, and I wasn't a great fan of Louis van Gaal's football, he was able to play a real distinct style of play that some didn't like and some did like, but you could never argue that he didn't deliver a style of play. That's the bit that I just worry about here, that why aren't we seeing something develop that we can know where this team's going? Is it a high-pressing team? No. Is it a possession team? No. Is it a counter-attacking team? Sometimes, if the team leave space in behind. It's not a direct team. I'm not quite sure what it is, and I think that does need to develop in this next few months somehow, if it can.
That's the biggest worry. I think, again, we turn up for games, we watch Man United, whatever, you do not know what you're going to get. That's all right if you're a small team or you're whatever. When you come watch Man United, it doesn't mean you're going to win every week, but you'd like to see something that they're going to be more consistent. But this United team, you haven't got a clue what you're going to get.
We mentioned that Spurs have been missing some key players, particularly in attack. Timo Werner signer goes straight into the starting lineup. Jamie says probably that's typical of what we will get from Timo Werner, flashes of excellence, but you're not quite sure what the end product is. But do you see the sense behind the signing, Gary?
I can see the sense behind the signing because he actually does a lot of the things that you'd like. You know, he's quick, he makes runs, he gets into positions where he could score goals. What you're hoping for this time is you get a more mature, experienced.
That was amazing.
You know, yeah, you get a more and these two moments whereby they're decent chances. These, by the way, and I'd expect that if he'd been away, learned his trade a little bit more. Sort of big pressure last time coming to Chelsea. We saw a little bit more of what we saw at Chelsea. But I think, look, what he'll do, he'll get with this team a lot of opportunities in and around that area off that left-hand side.
He's getting nowhere near the starting 11 when everyone's fit. Son, Kulusevski and Richarlison is probably the best three right now.
So a decent option then, you would say?
That's what he is. He's a super sub. You bring him on and hopefully he can cause a bit of trouble. But technically, he's not an easy watch. He's like an athlete playing football, you know?
Simple. It's just another option for the manager.
Question. So Spurs' 6 front players are Kulusevski, Richarlison, Son, Brennan Johnson, Maddison and Werner. How many of Manchester United's front 6, United's front players would get into that 6? How many would Ange swap? You think of all the money that Manchester United have spent in that area. He would take Rashford, I think. He just would take Rashford. But would he swap Son for Højlund or for Richarlison?
Last year, probably a lot of them.
Maybe.
Last year, he would have done. This year, no. Yeah. Because he's turned them around. He's got players believing that they are the quality and the level that they should be. So that's where you have to congratulate the manager for that.
But we're also compared to Man United to other clubs and what they've done. But still, Man United, I go back to it, it's still an animal to all what these other clubs are doing in terms of players come to United. Even the manager's admitted to it. Even he didn't realise when he came to Man United how big it is and what a challenge is for people to come into the club and to settle in. You're coming to a club, you're coming to a team in a difficult place, on and off the pitch. And yeah, can we use them as excuses sometimes? But it is difficult whether you go to a Spurs or you go to wherever it might be. Coming and playing for Man United week in, week out is a different challenge for any player out there.
But does that tell you, but Roy, in terms of that, but they should know how big it is because it's chewed and spat out the likes of Mourinho and Van Gaal, who are the most experienced and some of the greatest managers that have ever been part of the game in the last 25, 30 years. So there's no surprise at how big the club is. And I think that I don't sit on the theory before the game when you talk about Højlund or say Anthony. I do not blame these two players at all because those price tags of 75 million and 90 million, they are 30, 40 million pound players that should be playing they should be second and third choice behind an experienced forward line that means they can learn and develop in a really strong and stable environment. You don't graduate from university and go and take the top job. We're expecting these players who graduated like at 21, 22 to all of a sudden take the top job in world football. Roy just says, being a centre forward for Manchester United, I think, is one of the hardest jobs in football. The expectation and scrutiny. You're expecting a young kid to do that and take it all upon himself. There should be someone above him so he can learn off and he can come in and basically play those games sort of like, 2 in 4 or, whatever it would be.
We're going to hear from Eric